You ever wake up and stare at your phone for 10 minutes, kind of just scroll through them? People are doing better than you, and then you go to a job you don't even like just to pay for a life you barely have time to even live. In my mind, that's not adulthood. That's more so just kind of living on autopilot. And most people don't even hate their jobs. They hate the feeling of being stuck, like they're playing a game where the rules are rigged. You know, let me talk to you about the trap. The 9 to 5 isn't evil. It's designed to keep you comfortable enough not to question it. You get a paycheck, you get weekends, maybe 2 weeks of freedom in a year, and that's supposed to be making it. But deep down, something's off with that whole mindset of things because you were never supposed to trade 5 days of your life for 2 days of recovery. And if that hit you just now, good. You're still with us. You're still awake. Okay. You know, it's a constant type of loop. The loop looks like this. I'll kind of paint it out for you. You work, you get tired, you buy something to feel better, you get paid again, you repeat, you kind of have that same type of cycle. You convince yourself it's just for right now, but every year it gets kind of harder and harder to leave because the job because the longer you play it safe, the scarier freedom really starts to look in reality. The trap isn't the job, it's more so the comfort of the job. And then this is when the moment hits you. For most people, there's a random moment when it hits. Sitting in traffic, standing in line, you just think, is this my life for really? Like, not the life that your parents wanted, not the one your boss expects, yours. That's the crack in the wall. The one you can either patch it up and ignore or widen until you can finally walk through it. You realize the shift. You don't have to quit tomorrow, but you need to start building something that's yours. It could be a channel, it could be a brand, it could be a hustle that can overtake your job, or just learning a skill that's actually moving you forward in your life. But give yourself one thing that doesn't rely on permission from somebody else. Something that reminds you you're not trapped or rigged, because once you taste that kind of control that you can leave your financial worries beside, the old routine will just never feel the same again. You'll just never want to be in the cycle of being a 9 to 5 worker. And it will definitely take time and it'll be hard, but that kind of freedom is something that will change your life entirely. The scariest part about this system is how normal it starts to feel. You stop questioning it. You kind of stop dreaming. You start saying, I guess that's how life is. You know what I'm saying? But it does not have to be like that. Most people just die waiting for the perfect time to change. But the truth is that moment never comes. You either stay comfortable or you bet on yourself. There's no middle ground in the whole thing. Nobody talks about how leaving the system feels worse before it feels better. And you have to have inclines in your life. You're not going to have a perfect life throughout. It's going to look up, down. But if you know that you are making a choice that's actually for you, let's say your mom or your dad or whatever, your guardian, they want you to go to college, and you do not want to go to college. Like, what are you going to do? You have to really make that choice of what am I going to do to make my life better for me, because I'm the only person who knows what I want and what I feel. You just go from knowing exactly what your week looks like to sitting at home wondering if you're wasting your life. You trade comfort for chaos, and that's where most people fold because they think that uncertainty means that they failed, but that's where you actually start to live. When you stop having everything planned and when you start having possibilities again of a future for yourself. So let's talk about the price of freedom. Everybody wants freedom until they realize what it costs. Freedom costs boredom. Freedom costs fear. Freedom costs working without anyone telling you good job or patting you on the back. And maybe you'll have some people who would do it, but there are gonna be times when it's just gonna be you going at it. It's gonna be you going crazy, and nobody's gonna be there to tell you and give you a, a pat on the back the entire way. So you just gotta pave the way. It's not that easy, but you get to wake up knowing your time is yours, and that's worth more than any paycheck with your soul attached to it. I'm not saying quit your job and manifest. I'm saying use your job as fuel. Build off it. Stack money. Learn skills. Use their systems to fund your exit plan. There's a difference between escaping and running away. Running away is emotional. Escaping is strategic. You want to be strategic in your plans. So move quietly. Build quietly. Until one day you don't have to ask for days off anymore. Isn't that what anybody in this world really wants? Control of their time, control of their life. So you have to cultivate a mindset shift. You have to cultivate a mindset shift. The craziest part, most people aren't even trapped by their boss. They're trapped by their own fear. Fear of losing that check. Realistically though, fear of judgment, fear of failing publicly. But here's the truth. The fear doesn't go away. You just get stronger than it. You realize that risk isn't the enemy. Staying the same is. That's one of the things you do not want to do. You want to be forever changing. That's what life is. Life is all about. You don't escape the 9 to 5 by hating it. You escape it by building something that makes it irrelevant in complete and total sense. So I'll say this before I go. You'll never feel ready, but timing will never make sense. But you've already wasted enough time convincing yourself you can't do it already. So the clock is still ticking. But this time it's not for them, it's for you. You can either wait for your break or become the reason that it happens today, not tomorrow, not in in 2 days, today. Thank you, TNL. I'll subscribe. I appreciate the recent support, and I love y'all.